Hi, welcome to today's edition of Ratchet Ass Photography. Alright, are you ready? Okay, let's get ratchet. Hello, today on Ratchet Ass Photography, we are going to look at ratchet ass lighting you can do at home for environmental portraiture. Bunch of things, right? Obviously, we don't have a lot of fancy lighting equipment. Maybe you do. If you do, good on you. If you don't, let's take a look at some of the stuff that we can use. So this is our friend, the clip lamp, right? Usually they have a shade. I've taken the shade off because didn't actually come with a shade. So these are great because you can attach them wherever you want. So if you have one of those, this is your like go-to thing. If you have a couple of them, if you want to get some at the hardware store, they will make your life a little bit better. Other kind of lights that we have out here, flashlights. So this is a light that I use for my bicycle. It is very bright. It's also kind of blue. We'll talk about that in a sec. But these are fantastic, right? They are small. They have sort of a handle-ish part that you can tape to things. Another great option to have. Other kinds of lights, your classic party bulb. So if you are a partying kind of person, maybe you have some party bulbs. They're awesome. Check them out if you've got them. Another kind of light is the compact fluorescent. So compact fluorescents are nice. They don't get very hot. That's really important. So incandescent bulbs, right? Bulbs with a filament. These are going to get hot as you turn them on and leave them on. That's going to mean that you don't want to put them, I don't know, in drapes or like next to things that are flammable, which is almost everything. So keep that in mind if you're working with light bulb lights. Compact fluorescents are less hot. They still do heat up, but not as much as these guys do. So that makes them a nice option. Again, color temperature will vary. Your party bulb, this one obviously is bright yellow. Your light bulb lights, so things with a filament, are generally speaking going to be warmer in tone than other kinds of lights. You can get other kinds of lights that will be not tungsten balanced, right? You can get a compact fluorescent that is going to be more daylight balanced. If you go to the hardware store or you have a box of bulbs somewhere, take a look at the box. It should say what the color temperature is. It may not give you a number, right? So if it does give you a number and it's 5,000 or 6,000, that's daylight. 3,500, 3,200, 3,700, those are tungsten. But if it doesn't give you a number, it may also have just like a blue thing or a yellow thing. It may say like cool tone or I don't know what. So if there's more than one option, get two boxes because you're going to be lighting for a while. So compact fluorescents, also they're kind of nice. The bulb in here is an LED. LEDs are great because they are probably the least hot out of any of these bulbs, and so that means we have a few more options with what we do with them. Right? They're still not something you want to, I don't know, be a complete idiot about. But compact fluorescents are a little bit cooler than a regular light. LEDs are cooler still. Things to put the lights in. All right, we talked about this clip lamp. Clip lamps are awesome. Right? It doesn't have any sort of directionality, but we'll talk about that in a sec. I also have here, this is a like thing you buy at a party store to put a light bulb in to do like the big paper Chinese lantern. So it would be nice if it had a switch. It doesn't have a switch. It just turns on. So apropos switching, don't take the bulb out of these and leave them around because if I stick my finger in here right now, that will be exciting. So apropos switching, how do we do that? So I'm going to recommend to you that you get or use a power strip, right? Power strip, awesome. Power strip is great because it has a switch. Many of them also will sort of have a kind of circuit breakery function that they'll trip if you draw too much power, maybe. I wouldn't rely on it. Don't plug everything in. So that's a nice way to be able to turn on and off multiple fixtures so that you can turn them off, move stuff around, turn them off when you're not shooting. You only have to do it at one place. Power strip, highly recommended. Another thing that you should use are extension cords, right? You can get those big orange extension cords. Those are cooler looking. I guess these are little interior extension cords. They are totally fine. If you want to use one of these, that's great. When you do, take a look and see how many little prong openings it has. Right, this one has 2. That means that it is not grounded. That's less desirable. But most of your small ones are going to have that. And if your lamp that you are using also has 2, then that's fine, right? Like 2 things here, 2 things here, right? They can go together. I wouldn't have any advantage to having a third thing. You do notice they are one slightly bigger than the other, so it goes in one way, doesn't go in the other way. So extension cord, super handy, right? If you have 3 of them, right? Maybe get 3 of them. I don't know. I don't know where you're getting stuff. Maybe you have some lying around. Again, ratchet ass lighting. We're doing what we can with what we've got. So extension cords, super, super helpful. All right, so plugged in that lamp. All right, plug it into my power strip. And I'm going to plug my power strip into the wall. Again, if we're plugging in a bunch of things into the wall, try not to plug anything else into that wall. If you have an air conditioner outlet, you can plug it into an air conditioner outlet, and that is less likely to trip any circuits. Again, you shouldn't be tripping circuits if you're just using these light bulbs, but right, you never know. So if you have an air conditioning outlet, that's ideal or more ideal. Hold on while I plug this in. Okay, so now I have this, it's plugged in, turns on, that's great. Briefly, some other types of lamps. We talked about our friend the flashlight. You may have a table lamp. Table lamp, again, very nice. This one has a regular old incandescent bulb in it. They often have some kind of fixture thing on the top. It's going to allow you to direct light one way or another. This is helpful, right? You have a little bit more control over where our lighting is. So those are great. This one's, again, pretty basic, right? You can put it on things higher or lower. You can tilt it up or down. All of that stuff is available to you. If you have a table lamp, right? So here's a lamp with a shade on it. The other one that I was just showing you, the shade was not removable. This one it is, right? So if I can take this top off, it's dusty as fuck, right? There is a light bulb inside of that. Again, gets it a little bit closer to being something like this that we have a little bit more control over. With environmental portraiture, right, we are working with lighting in the scene and then adding lighting. So if you have a lamp, you can use the lamp as a lamp, and then you can have an additional light source that could be another lamp, anything really that you have a little bit more control over. Remember, obviously, we also have things like the light in the room, right, on the ceiling, and things like windows. If you are using windows, keep in mind that you can put a curtain over them. You can put a piece of fabric over them. You can put a sheet, right? White sheet, yellow sheet, any of those things over that window. That will let light come in. It'll be bigger, softer, more diffused. If you want to eliminate that light, right? If you want to reduce the amount of light or control that window light a little bit, you can always put a opaque curtain, a blanket, any of those things on it. That will help you out. Okay, so let's say that I have a light, right? And I've gotten this light either by taking the top off a lamp or by, I don't know, having one of these things sitting around. Maybe you have a work light. If you have a parent who does work on cars, they may have a shop light. Those are awesome. They are directional. They have a hook to hang them on things. They usually have a very long cord that they plug in with. Those are cool. So once I have a light, whatever it is, whether it's a flashlight, whether it's one of these guys, what do I do with it? So this is a light. It is not super useful, right? It's still, if it's on one side of me or the other, it will change where that light is coming from. All of those things are good, but it is going in all directions all at once. How do I solve this? Again, this is an LED, right? Meaning I can grab it and it does not burn me. LEDs are great for that reason. Also, they come in a bunch of color temperatures. So you can get one to match daylight or not. So I'm going to use super high tech here, aluminum foil. Awesome. This is not heavy duty aluminum foil, it is light duty aluminum foil. So I'm going to fold it in half so it's a little bit more hard. All right, so it's going to hold its shape a little bit more easily. And now I have something that is more directional. If I turn off this overhead light that I have up here. Oh, can I even do that? Yes, yes I can. Right, you can see that I now have something that is akin to a spotlight. I can make it a little bit narrower, and I can control where that light is in a way that I couldn't before. So this is a much more general light that I've taken and made a little bit more controlled. So tinfoil is awesome. It is opaque. That means that you can put it somewhere and light will not go through it if you do not want light to go through it. It also does not catch on fire, which is awesome. Again, better using it with something that's an LED. If you're using it with an incandescent bulb, please make sure that you are not leaving that thing on for very long, right? We have a power strip, so we turn it off when we're not shooting. We turn it on to make our image, because even though this will not catch on fire, it can heat up your light fixture and cause that to catch on fire. Fire, bad. Okay, so we can use tinfoil to modify things. Other stuff that we can use to modify things, again, are, right, here's our cool flashlight. Flashlights are typically much more directional than anything else. So if I have it in my scene, it is going to be easier to control, easier to keep it on one thing and off of other things, because it is designed to be pointed at stuff in a way that a light bulb like this is not. Color. This is probably outside of what you'll need for this assignment, but since I'm here anyway doing ratchet lighting, in your lighting class, if you want to make something blue, you can put a Tupperware lid over your light source and it will change the color, right? So this is blue Tupperware lid, that will make it blue. I happen to have a lighter blue one that will make it slightly less blue. Red one that will make it, well, if it weren't flashing, that will make it red, right? You can see that a little bit on there. It's more noticeable in real life than it is in the video, but that's an easy way to control your light a little bit. Obviously, if you have a party bulb, you can just use the party bulb and it will be whatever color it is. Problems with this, right? You got to hold it somewhere. So if you have another person who's not quarantined, you can press them into service, holding stuff in front of your light. You can make a handy holding thing using a wire hanger. If you are too classy for wire hangers, I guess you can use a fancy bespoke cedar wooden hanger too. I got these. You can hold stuff onto it using tape, right? If you are fancy, you can use fancy gaffer's tape, right? That's kind of pricey. If you are less fancy, you can use, trying to not let my light bulbs roll away, non-fancy duct tape. I wouldn't use masking tape. It's not very good, frankly. But you do what you need to do. So if I want to have this red, or this blue, sorry, gel on here, right, I can make this frame out of a wire hanger. Tape that on there, and now I have something that I can hold in front of a light and change the color a little bit. It's also bendy, right? So if I have the ability to, I don't want to take it totally apart because I need a fucking hanger to hang my jacket on. You could bend this in a way and then attach it to something near your light source so that it's going through it. You can also use these to make a sort of diffusion panel. So at school we have those big three-way round bounce disc. Sorry, super noisy. Bounce disc things that we use to send light through and diffuse them. You can take this, you can put a t-shirt on it, you can put wax paper is great on it. When you do that, again, if you have a tight light source, you would move it farther away from the frame. When it's farther away from the frame, it's going to make a bigger sort of circle on that material, and it's going to be a little bit more diffuse. Other lighting things that we have, right? Things to bounce light with. This is a piece of foam core. You may say, Brad, I don't have a piece of foam core, but you just did your Hockney, and your Hockney is mounted on something, and that something is probably big and white. So using the back of your Hockney is great. This one has also a black side, which I don't know, probably you don't have, but if you do have something like that, you can use it to absorb light. Again, you can use pretty much anything that's dark as a way of absorbing light. This is less important maybe for the environmental portraiture and more so for the big studio portrait that will be the following assignment. All of this stuff will get a little bit more important then. So again, if you can get to a hardware store, now is the time to do it. If you can get bulbs that are flood versus spot, get a couple of each. Again, if you get something that is pretty basic, you'll be able to put it in a simple holder and use that, right? If there's a hardware store, get a couple of flood bulbs, get a couple of spot bulbs, get something to clamp them into, get a couple of extension cords, a power strip, and you will be doing pretty well. How do we attach them to things, right? This one has this magic springy thing, and it also has a ball and socket joint. So that's great. If this were a more directional bulb, we could direct it around. I can clamp it onto the edge of this thing that is right out of the shot. There you go. That's great. You can clamp it to a bookcase. That's great. You can clamp it to the side of a door. Also good. All of these are ways to get it sort of up in the air. These, right, we can point them at things. We can put our magical tinfoil on them to make them smaller. Good stuff. So let's see, I think that was kind of it. Oh, yeah. So flashlights, right? If you have a person who can hold it, that's awesome. If you don't have a person who can hold it, you can tape them to things. Right? Taping them to things is a little dodgy. I don't want you to break stuff or injure people. If you manage to tape them to a wire hanger, right, that's a little bendy, which is kind of nice. But really, you're probably just going to tape them, like sit them on a shelf or tape them to the side of a door. Doors are nice too because they pivot, right? So you can move it a little bit and then like stick some books or something to hold it in place. Um, you can also, again, bookshelves are great, right? This is why reading is important, not because reading is good, but because it gives you bookshelves, and bookshelves you can stack lights on. So we can point this somewhere. This is painter's tape. Painter's tape, if you need to tape something to a wall, you're a little bit better off. If you don't have to tape something to a wall, if you're taping it to a piece of furniture that nobody gives a shit about, duct tape, still fine. If you are fancy, gaffer's tape is the shit. All right, so if I want to tape this to a wall, I am surrounded by things that are not actually walls. This is some weird frame thing. But put that on there. So if I just tape it like that, that's okay. It's not magical and fantastic. It's going to tend to droop a little bit. Oh my god. Duct tape is sticky. That's why I don't tape it on shit that you care about. If I have a flashlight, make sure that you don't tape over the button that turns it on and off, because that will make you sad, probably. I have a long enough piece. All right. So if I put a tail on it like that, this is not going anywhere, right? It's holding on to itself. I can then tape this top piece to something, right? And it will sort of dangle there forever. If I need to change the angle a little bit, I can take that off, try and point it up a little bit. It's going to tend to sort of droop down. If you are running into sort of your flashlight flopping down like that, you can tape it to something that is a little bit more rigid, right? So this is going to guide that a little bit. And then I can tape the front of it to that piece, right? So now the front is taped as well as the back, and so it's not going to droop down. Point it up the ceiling. And then take a second piece and tape that flat thing on there. That's going to get me a little bit better angle going up. If I wanted it to go up, probably I don't. Probably I want it to point down, in which case, right, we're cool. Awesome. Great. Now I have a light. It's on the wall. It's pointing down. So I've taped it to something that's kind of flat. And then I can tape that flat thing however I want, because the flat thing has these edges that I can tape onto something. Rotate those around a little bit. Should make your life a little bit easier. Right, having a tail on there so that you can tape it onto something and not worry about it falling off as much. Probably easier. And don't forget not to cover up the button, or you will not be able to turn it on and off. Again, more studio lighting stuff, but will be useful going forward. May be useful for environmental portraiture. Environmental portraiture, mostly using the lights in the room, right? Ceiling lights, lamps. If you can get a couple of extra bulbs in there, that would be great. But more of this specific light control will be more useful later on. Okay, I think that is all the ratchet lighting tips I can think of. So let's go ahead and see if we can put some of these things to use. So here we have my sample environmental portrait. A lot of this obviously is styling, costume, that kind of thing. Um, but the lighting is playing a big role. So this is all using the lighting stuff that I showed you earlier. I have okay light on my face. I had to go in and do a little bit in post-production because the light that I was using died, basically. Um, the light in the fireplace, I did a little tiny bit of post-production in that I moved a light um, from one shot to the next, and I realized I liked it better in the earlier shot, and so I cut that out and dropped it in there. But everything else is pretty good. Criticisms, I think the placement of the stem of the pipe is not great. It could move in so that it is silhouetted against the shirt. That would be much better. Um, I really need more light on my face in a way that seems a little bit more natural. And the light from the fire that's on the front of the mantelpiece could be a little redder. I think that would be make for a better shot. But overall, pretty good, right? We've got an idea of who this person is because of the environment in which they're photographed. There's a sort of straight ahead, deadpan connection with the camera. Um, it would be nice to see a little bit more of the room in that shot. I think that would help a great deal. Um, but there isn't more of the room in the shot because the room doesn't have a whole lot of space in it. And once I pulled out, it would become more apparent that I am not actually a fancy baron, but just some dude. So if you're shooting in a place where the location matches your sitter more accurately, you can pull back a little bit, and I think that would be good in general. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll give you a little behind the scenes on what the lights in this photograph actually are. This is our behind the scenes footage of my fancy aristocrat picture. You can see the party bulb in the fireplace, the clip light with tinfoil on the bookcase. We have some big windows with some curtain on it, providing a little bit of ambient. I did cheat a little bit by using this piece of gel on that flashlight, but the flashlight battery is dead, basically, so it's not actually doing anything, so it did not matter. Instead, I had to throw some more lights on over here. There's a lamp with no shade on it, a table lamp sitting on the couch pointed toward me, and then this floor lamp that I just pointed up sort of at the ceiling away from the picture. So all of those are really just trying to give me some ambient in the direction of my face to balance out the light coming from behind me, washing the bookshelf and hitting my fancy rich person books. Okay, hope you enjoyed it.